Hi everyone,
Hello,
I'm Carmel
and I'm Mark.
and welcome to Karma's a Witch, a Charmed podcast.
Woo! Episode 5.
This one is called Dream Sorcerer. Dream Sorcerer.
We have been drinking, and we will continue to drink during this podcast. Do not judge.
Or do, we don't care.
Or do judge, just don't tell us.
Or do, we don't care. Okay, so, shall we jump in?
Yeah.
Let's jump in. We start at Quake, and I just want to say what I said to Mark earlier. That sign is so cool. It's like it's had an earthquake and it split the Quake sign in half.
It's
like,
pretty cool.
we're at Quake, and Phoebe is walking through the crowd, and this guy stops her and goes, you must be a terrorist because you're the bomb.
Oh, shit, pick up line.
Dude, that ain't a good pickup line. And then another says, ask her if it hurts. And she's like, excuse me, did it hurt when you fell? Because I know an angel when I see one. And she's like, come here, I'm no angel, I'm a witch.
Very cheesy.
But I love her response.
Yeah.
And she then walks off and goes to where Prue and Piper are sitting. And she's like, what are you looking at? And she's like, those two have not come up for air. And they're looking at a couple kissing. Well, I would say kissing, but they're more like eating each other's face.
Yeah, cannibal.
Yeah. Like PDA magnified by 100. Gross. Anyway, Guy, the waitress, comes up and she's like, I've got a special delivery. And she puts a load of drinks down. And Prue's like, I didn't order this. And Guy says, no, the guy over there ordered it for you. And Prue says, oh, can you take it back and say, I'm sorry, but I'm seeing someone. And Sky's like, okay. And the sisters are like, well, that's a change of heart. And she's like, well, I don't want to add to the stress.
Yeah.
So she's
does that,
Andy.
Yeah, they asked, does that mean that you're getting serious with Andy in that case then? I think she was maybe just using as a sort of like wanting to deny the drink, but not really having a...
I don't know, because they do
Learn to English.
I don't know how to English. Okay. So Sky...
Fucker, do you speak it?
No. So Sky takes the drink back to the gentleman that sat by himself across the restaurant, and he puts it down, and he says, oh, so she's not interested then. And she says, oh, she does say thank you, but no thank you, she has seen someone. And he says that they all do. And then he goes, how about you? And then moves his wheelchair. So we then find out he's in a wheelchair. And Sky's like, oh, I'm not allowed to date customers.
She does say that after seeing him in the wheelchair, though. So do you think maybe it's like...
It might have something to do with it. I don't know.
She looks at the wheelchair. I'm sure they like zoom in on his hand, like moving the little stick. And then she kind of sees that and hesitates and goes, I'm not allowed to date pussy.
Yeah, so it is the wheelchair that does put her off.
Well, he kind of...
She's being judgmental, but at the end of the day, if she doesn't want to date someone in a wheelchair, she doesn't have to.
Yeah. But then he kind of... I was getting weird vibes from him. And I didn't want to say anything because I felt bad as when you see he's in a wheelchair, and I think that's the point of what they're trying to get across to you. But he did have very sort of like incel vibes.
Yeah. He's like, well, okay, so she doesn't want to date me, but do you want to date me?
What about you? Just like grabbing any woman.
Yeah. So she does have the right to say no.
Yeah.
And he says, oh, I'm in a wheelchair. I get it. It's because I'm in a wheelchair.
Mm.
And the scene cuts there. And the next scene, you see Sky getting ready for bed. So she's brushing her hair.
This is after a shift in it. It's at 1:30 in the morning, I think the alarm clock says.
Sky is getting ready for bed. She's brushing her hair and she gets into bed. And she looks at her alarm clock and it's 5 minutes past 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's after a shift.
Yes.
And the reason why they look at this is because the next time you look at the clock, it's 2:30 in the morning.
Mm.
And the man from Quake in the wheelchair is dressed all in black, and he sits on Sky's bed and he's like, Sky. And she's like, what? And she's like, how did you get in here? You're walking. And he's like, yeah, you're dreaming. I can walk in your dream. In your dream, I can do anything in your dreams. And then he starts dancing with her.
I could dance.
I can dance in your dream. While he's dancing with her, he goes, I can alter your dream. And then there's music and lots of smoke. Sky tries to run away, but he grabs her and he goes, I can kill in your dream.
Savage.
Did you know that if you die in your dream, you die in real life?
All right, Freddy Krueger.
And she's like, please stop. And he says it at the same time as her. So it's like quite creepy. Please don't hurt me.
He knows exactly what she's going to say before she says it.
And then, so he repeats that. And then he says with her, please, I'll do anything. And then he pushes Sky off the building.
She falls and it looks like the building they're on. It's
very high.
Yeah, it's like, I wondered where there's
a skyscraper into it.
Yeah, it looks like a rooftop in like hell. But then when he throws her off the building, you see that actually it is a city. It's just a very sort of foggy, like a reddy purple kind of city. So
he makes it like an illusion so that you think that you're somewhere else.
Yeah.
But they probably are on top of her building.
Maybe. But after he kills her as well, just before it goes to the intro music, he does a very sort of weird Michael Jackson scream. Like, woo! It was weird. I wondered why he did that. Like
it's like he's just killed someone. Woo!
He's had a thrill, but like a thriller, you could say. It's like he's thrilled by killing someone. He turns around and does this like, which song is it? I think it's from Thriller. He turns around and he's like, woo! I think it's right at the beginning, but he does a scream that sounds just like Michael Jackson. You know what it sounds like, actually? It doesn't sound like the Michael Jackson scream from Thriller. It sounds like...
Is it like Billie Jean? No, Bad.
But there's a game for Sega Mega Drive called Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
Davy's the one Davy showed you.
It was. But the thing is, between levels, it shows you a picture of Michael Jackson. And it's weird because his mouth moves, but the rest of his face doesn't. And it goes up like, entering stage 2. And Michael Jackson's face is just there and he goes, oh! Like, it's fucking weird.
Might have to get all 3 now.
It's weird. It's, yeah, get the clip of that, splice it in. That won't be copyrighted, and even if it is, I think we'll get away with it because it's funny. Yeah. But yeah, does the Michael Jackson scream. So he's like a funky Freddy Krueger. I know I said I felt quite bad for saying he had like weird incel vibes when he was in Quake in the wheelchair. But he literally, in the scene where he's now got the power, one of the things he says to Sky, aside from saying, I can kill, he says something about, I can kill, especially women that reject me. And he sounds to me a lot like Elliot Rodger. I've seen the Elliot Rodger videos where he's sat in his car talking about, it's a travesty that women reject me. I should be out there in a happy relationship, but women can't see how awesome I am. Motherfucker's got a Shadow the Hedgehog voice as well. He doesn't just sound like a normal guy. He doesn't sound weedy or anything like you'd expect with an incel.
Yeah.
He's really brooding, really sort of...
The sad thing is if he didn't have that incel behavior, he might have actually got a date because it wasn't bad looking either.
No, but he sounds like... And I know it's because they've obviously told him you're playing a villain. You're playing a villainous serial killer type guy, a dream sorcerer who kills women in their dreams. But he sounds like fucking Shadow the Hedgehog. He's there like... I'll kill all women, especially those who reject me. What the fuck?
I've gone to sleep next to this at night time, guys.
You better not reject me.
He may be sleeping on the sofa tonight.
This always happens to supreme gentlemen like me. Women just can't see how awesome I am. What a fucking incel.
He's talking about himself.
No, I'm not.
Okay, and then the title, the music, the theme song. You got it right this time, well done.
Mm.
So after the title and the theme song, we get loads of views from San Francisco again, all around the city. So the bay, the harbour, the city.
The cool little tram.
Really pretty. Like, do you know where the bridge in the water is?
Yeah, I like the little trams that they have that come up those big hills. And you see people hanging onto the side of them. Do you think they have to pay to ride those like tram things or how? Because they're just holding onto the sides.
I don't know.
Is it like, it's free and you just literally grab a seat or grab onto the sides and just ride it up the road? Because it looks fun. I'd like to try that.
Do you know what those trams remind me of? Because it's in San Francisco.
What?
Princess Diaries.
You know what it reminds me of? And it's funny because I've already spoken about Shadow the Hedgehog. It reminds me of the first level from Sonic Adventure 2 where you are these trams and you smash them out the way and stuff. I'm convinced this guy is just Shadow the Hedgehog mixed with Freddy Krueger.
Oh my God.
With a little bit of... Did you notice he had 2000...
Wait a minute, you're insulting Freddy. Don't insult Freddy.
Did you notice he had 2007 Chris Jericho's haircut as well?
Well, like your cockatoo hair right now.
Don't. It's my hair. My hair is
cockatooey.
No, it's not.
So anyway, we go through the Princess Diary scenes.
What?
I said that's what it reminded me of, the trap.
Oh, got you, right. I was like, what the fuck? You didn't read a diary.
We go through San Francisco, and then we are in Sky's apartment with Andy and Morris. Andy and Morris are discussing what has happened to Sky. They're saying that it's strange because it looks like every bone in her body has been crushed. There's no signs of lacerations. The medical examiner has said that it's like she's fell from a building. She's in a locked apartment on the ground floor and the body's not been moved. They're a bit stumped and they walk off. We then move to the manor where Piper is doing an exercise video and she's like, that's it, I give up. And Prue says, you didn't read the fine print. It says $29.99 for the video and
$25K for the
plastic surgery.
Yeah.
And Piper's like, why can't everything be easy and have a body that we want instead of having to work hard for it? And then Phoebe comes in eating bowls of cereal. You got to think about eating bowls of cereal in scenes.
Who doesn't like cereal?
I'm not fond of cereal. You said you're not that fond of cereal.
Depends what cereal. If it's
I'm the same. It depends what cereal.
for some boring shit like Weetabix, then
No.
that or cornflakes. But you know, if it's like fucking
I love Crunchy Nut. And then you nick all my Crunchy Nut. And then I have to go with that.
what's the not Captain Crunch? The cereal that's got little marshmallow bits in.
Oh, Mateys.
Mateys. They used to do, right? So back in like the 90s, they used to do like anything that was popular, they'd make a version of that and the marshmallows would be the shape of it. And I remember they used to do Pokemon cereal and the box was actually shiny, like a Pokemon card. Like the part of it, you'd get a different Pokemon on each box, I think. And the Pokemon would be shiny. So you'd be like, oh, you're looking for like the Charizard or something and you'd end up with a fucking Oddish. And sometimes you get like I can't remember if it was a Pokemon card or like a little Pokemon figure because they used to give you toys in the cereal, didn't they?
Yeah, years and years ago.
Yeah, and then they were like, oh no, because toys equal fun and we can't have kids having fun.
So Piper is basically having a rant about how men just want bodies that look good and she just wants a guy. And Phoebe says, oh, I just want a guy for wild nights, a bit of fun. And Piper says, no, I want love. I'll take whatever Prue has in a second. And Prue is like, well, then you're going to have to deal with the family secret.
Yeah.
And walks away. We then move back to Andy and Morris. And now they're at the station. The autopsy report says it's internal massive hemorrhaging. It's what they normally find in jumpers.
Which are people that jump off buildings.
But unless the body was moved, how could every bone be broken? Because there's bars on the windows and none of the locks have been tampered with. So how have they got the body in and out of the apartment?
Which is a fair question. Yeah.
And there's no sign of suicide.
Yeah.
So they're definitely looking for a murder. So we then go to Quake and Piper reels off this guy's order. It's obvious that he's a regular. The guy takes absolutely no notice of her, says thanks, and Piper walks away going, you're welcome. And then Phoebe comes in and she's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? And she goes, Sky haven't turned up for a shift, so we're short-handed, so I'm having to busk her tables. And Phoebe opens the kitchen door for her. And Phoebe starts going on about how she's found a spell in the Book of Shadows on how to attract a lover. Piper thinks that it's personal gain. Phoebe says, how is it personal gain when we're giving others happiness? In my case, lots and lots of happiness.
So I thought what they were going to do here, I thought it was going to be kind of like, it is personal gain if you do the spell for yourself, but Phoebe's going to do the spell for Piper, Piper would do the spell for Phoebe, and then you're not gaining personally, you're doing it for someone else, but they did do something completely different, don't they?
Yeah.
But I thought that's what they were going to go with. And it's going to turn out that like the guys that Piper is into are going after Phoebe, and the guys that Phoebe is into
Oh, like Freaky Friday.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, like
let's swap.
It's happening for the other person, but it's the shit you're into, the kind of guys that you're into that are going after the other person.
Yeah, I get it. Piper is like, oh, I don't think that this is right. And Phoebe says, we're not talking about marriage. that's there's something in our 30s to worry about. We're just after a good time. Dating is frustrating. Piper's like, well, don't you think it's a little desperate? And Phoebe's like, desperate? How is it desperate when it's giving us something that we want? No, I think it's empowering. And plus, we can reverse that at any time.
Yeah.
The next scene starts with Piper in the kitchen, and Prue shouts, Piper, Phoebe. She walks into the kitchen, and Piper says to Prue, what are you doing back? I thought you had a date with Andy. And Prue says, Andy cancelled. He's got to work.
So that's because of the murder.
Yeah, because of the murder with Sky, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Phoebe comes running in saying, oh, Piper, I got it wrong. It says cayenne pepper, not black pepper. And then she looks at Prue and goes, oh, we're busted, aren't we? And Prue's like, yeah, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, we're making a love spell. And she's like, what? The next scene, Prue sat down. Phoebe and Piper's obviously just explained what they're about to do. And they say, do you want to join us? And she's like, no, thanks. I've got enough on my own. We then go up to the attic where Phoebe and Piper are sat down and they're about to do the spell.
This scene's funny.
And they're saying, oh, you go first. What have you put? So Phoebe's like, you go first. And Piper's like, no, you go first. And then Phoebe robs her
little piece of paper
that she's written on.
It's written about the kind of man they want on them.
So you want a man that is single, smart, endowed, employed. Employed. And then Piper steals Phoebe's paper and says, oh, you want the sexy silent type driving through town on the back of a Harley.
It gives us an idea, though, of what kind of men
you
say. You were right. Piper's sort of romantic, like...
And Phoebe's the wild one.
Yeah. So they are very, very different. And that's why I thought that they were going to go down the route of the kind of guys that Piper's into start going after Phoebe and the one.
Oh, because they read each other's.
Yeah. Or I just thought it was going to be that's how the spell works.
To backfire.
Yeah, because it would be personal gain.
But it wouldn't be in the book unless you're allowed to do it.
Well, yeah. But I thought maybe it was like you could do that for somebody else because they're trying to do it.
No, because it's in the book, it's for yourself. The spell is for yourself.
Oh, okay.
So they're talking about this, like what's entailed in the spell, and they had to get like honey and stuff. And Phoebe says, oh, we're lucky because if we was a man, we'd have to put a honey in the armpit to be able to do the spell.
Yeah, I thought that.
Gross. And then they say, I conjure thee, I am the queen, you are the bee. As I desire, so shall it be. I conjure thee, I am the queen, you are the bee. As I desire, so shall it be. And then the phone rings and they're like, oh, did it work? And they run out of the room. So Prue's downstairs and she answers the phone. And it's the guy from Quake. Who is this? And he's like, oh, I sent you a drink from Quake the other night. Incel stalker.
Does he say something here about you rejected me? He says it in a really...
Yeah, like you've rejected my drink, so I am calling to ask you out.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
He does give me serious Elliot Rodger vibes because he's like, I'm the guy from Quake the other day. I ordered you a drink and you sent it back. You rejected me. This might be the first televised depiction of an incel.
Maybe not. It may be the one that we've seen, but in the 90s, they did a lot of that stuff, didn't they?
For anybody who displays those like incel behaviors, you're not cool. This is what we see you as. This is what people see you as.
So yeah, he's like, oh, I'm the guy that you rejected a drink from at Quake. I'm just ringing to see if you want to go out. And she's like, I don't know if Sky didn't make it clear, but I am dating someone.
And he's like, so you've chosen death. What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with this motherfucker?
He just puts the phone down on her and she's like, what the fuck?
Okay, that's dodgy as fuck. She dodged a bullet.
Massively. Phoebe and Piper ask who that was, and she's like, oh, it's the guy from Quake. How the hell did he get this number?
Oh, you forgot to mention something while they're doing the spell. The cat makes an appearance.
Oh, yeah, the cat's in the room.
We haven't seen the cat for a good few episodes.
Yeah, so they don't actually know where this guy's got the number from, and they're not particularly worried. They just kind of shrug it off. And Phoebe's like, oh, I'm going to Quake. Piper, do you want to come? Let's test out this spell. And she's like, no, I'm not in the mood tonight. You go. So Phoebe walks off, and then you're left with Piper and Prue just stood there. The scene ends, and the next scene is Prue is in the bath, and you can see she's fallen asleep. And the guy from Quake is there again. Prue goes to scream, and he says, scream all you want. And she's like, who are you? And he says, I'm in your unconscious. I know every thought and desire, because he starts repeating everything that she says, like, who are you? How did you get here? And then she closes her eyes and she says, you're not real. You don't exist. You're not real. You don't exist. It goes, yeah, that's what your mum used to tell you. If you ever saw monsters, just tell them you're not real. You don't exist. And they'll go away. He goes, but I'm not going anywhere. And she's like, why can't I move? I can't move. He's like, because I don't want you to move. And then he says, I'm going to love you to death. But he gets a sponge and scratches her back. So it's like a scour. And he kind of drags it down her back really hard.
Yeah, it rips the skin.
Yeah. And he scratches her back and then dunks her head underwater. And you can hear a knock. And then Piper's like, Prue, and she enters the bathroom and Prue sits up. So
wakes Prue up.
Piper's woken Prue up and she says, is everything okay? I heard you screaming. And she was like, no, I just, everything's fine. And she's like, just go to bed, I'll be okay. And Piper's like, well, if you're sure, and then walks off. Prue gets out of the bath, looks in the mirror, and the scratches are on her back.
Yeah, where he's scoured. It's now, and this is what I mean when I say it's like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, it is.
Because I'm sure in one of the Nightmare on Elm Street, she gets attacked in a dream, clawed, and then when she wakes up, she still has the claw scratch from Freddy's claw. And
the nightgown's scratched, I think.
Yeah.
It's the first one. She's asleep at a desk. The arm was scalded.
Yeah.
On the pipe, she scalded her arm to wake herself up, and it worked, but she had the scald on her arm.
There's a lot of parallels between this and Nightmare on Elm Street. I think that's one of.
It's because Freddy is iconic. Not Fred Mort, Freddy. Let me just point that out. The next morning, Piper and Prue are in the kitchen making coffee, and Prue asks Piper if she remembers what Mum used to say when they see monsters. And she says, yeah, you close your eyes and say, you're not real, you don't exist. And it always worked. And Prue says, well, it didn't this time. And Piper's like, well, how many hours have you done at work? 60, 70 this week? And it's a Saturday and you're working. And she's like, well, a shipment came in 3 days late, so I've got to do overtime. We're behind. She goes, but what about the scratches? She goes, I know they were there last night. They've disappeared this morning, but they was definitely there last night. Piper says, I believe that you believe the scratches were there, but maybe it's exhaustion and not a dream guy that's done this to you.
Yeah.
And then they're interrupted by a man with no top. Man got muscles.
He comes walking from, he was coming from upstairs, wasn't he? And he just like makes himself at home, walks over to the fridge and takes out the milk from the fridge.
And starts drinking the milk.
Yeah.
And Prue says, who are you? And then Piper says, who cares? And then Phoebe comes running in going, Hans, I found your t-shirt. Hans grabs Phoebe and gives her kisses. And they arrange to meet up for later. And he leaves. And Phoebe goes, don't worry, we had safe sex. A lot of safe sex. And then Piper goes, ew. I love sisters. They're so funny. So we then go back to Morris and Andy at the police station. So this new day, new dawning, they're still talking about Sky. And Andy's saying, we've found victims that are linked. It looks like it's a serial killer.
Yeah, they say they're linked because they've all got this strange cause of death, which is they look perfectly fine.
But every bone in the body is
broken.
Crushed, yeah.
They've all got the same symptoms as a jumper.
Yeah. So they get the stuff and they go. So the next scene is Piper and Phoebe talking in Quake. Phoebe is telling Piper how Hans a flat tire on his Harley across from Quake. And he comes in to use the phone and bumps into Phoebe coming out of the toilet. Piper says, that's not a spell, that's homos. And Phoebe's like, no, I really like this guy. I think it's meant to be. And then Phoebe leaves with Hans.
Yeah.
Piper then goes to the regular who've ignored her at the beginning of the episode. And this time he says, call me Jack. And then actually looks at Piper and says, oh, you look beautiful. And she says, have you been drinking? And he says, come and join me for a drink and we can talk. And she's like, oh, just stay there. And she goes to phone Prue. And while she's on the phone, this weird guy behind her says, oh, you don't have dinner with him tonight. She's like, why not? And he goes, fly to Paris with me and have dinner with me. Fly to Paris? Who are you, Christian Grey?
You'd have thought that the reason he'd said that was he was going to be like, the guy's a real creep. He's a known, like...
That's what you'd think. This guy was like, no, fly to Paris.
Me, it's that.
Fly to Paris. I've got a helicopter. I've also got a red room.
Helicopter.
Oh my God. You can't help it, can you? No. Prue's assistant is trying to say something and Piper's like, tell her now it's an emergency. Like, she's getting really annoyed with these guys. So Prue's on the phone and she's asking if Piper's going to go out with Jack. So obviously Piper's now filled her in. And Rex comes in and he brings loads of boxes. The Prue turns around to Piper and she's like, I'm going to have to go. I'm going to be here all night. The next scene, Piper and Phoebe are at the manor and they're talking about Jack and Hans. Piper's talking about how they had lunch and they were sat there for hours just talking and they're now going for dinner. Phoebe says, well, me and Hans are going dancing, so why don't you and Jack come and join us? And Piper says, well, if it goes on as long as the coffee did, we won't make it until closing. Phoebe's like, oh, this goes so great, isn't it? And leaves to go meet Hans. And Piper's sat there going, yeah, great. And she doesn't look happy at all. She looks quite sad to say that she's going on a date, but we kind of find out why in a minute. The next scene, Andy and Morris are walking into what they call a dream lab, and Andy's telling Morris that a woman called Julie Derrickson was killed in this way, and they asked to speak to Mr. Vernon.
Burnham. Yeah.
I'm going to call him Vermin. So they asked to speak to Mr. Vermin. So Mr. Vermin comes in and they give him a photo and says, oh, do you know who this is? And he says, yeah, that's Julie Derrickson. She was my girlfriend. I was heartbroken when she...
He sounds, right, during this whole...
He's so monotone, isn't he?
He sounds like he's been lobotomized. He talks very slowly. He talks very sort of overly fake.
Yeah.
He's like, that's my girlfriend. That was my girlfriend. I was heartbroken when she...
Yeah, that's exactly how he sounds.
But in the dreams, he sounds really confident. He's like, I can do whatever I want in the dreams.
Yeah, he's very he's very on it in the dreams, isn't he?
Yeah.
But I think this is like him trying to act all sad to his tribes, but he's trying too hard.
He's trying to throw the police off, but the way he's like, you know, I was extremely upset when I realized that she had passed away. It's like, you don't sound upset at all. You sound like someone conjuring up a story.
Well, he doesn't even say when she died. He just went, I'm extremely heartbroken when she... And then he doesn't say anymore. And then Andy and Morris says, well, another woman has died the other night, crushed in her sleep, the same as Julie.
He's like, that's terrible. I can't believe this.
And they're like, what was your whereabouts last night? And he's like, oh, I was here asleep. He says, any witnesses? And he goes, yeah, a lab technician.
There was there was a night's worth of data, 2 lab technicians and a scientist.
Yes, there was, Mr. Bittman. Thank you very much for confirming. And he says, okay, thanks for your help. And they leave. We then go to Quake and Piper is telling Jack. So Piper says, when I get stressed, I get highs. And you don't want to know what happens when I panic. And then she mentions an ulcer and a tattoo. And she's like, well, will nothing put you off or turn you off? And Jack says, no, for some reason it doesn't, which is strange. And Piper says, Jack, you're under. And then Jack kisses her. And she goes, spell. And then there's men everywhere trying to get her attention. There's a guy that winks at her with a glass of bourbon. There's a guy with a white rose behind her. And men all over the restaurant are trying to get her attention. And she's like nervous giggling. Like, what the fuck? We then go back to the dream lab and Mr. Vermin says...
So he says a lot of scientific shit. I want level 12 sleeper cyanide. And they're like, no, you only just got used to level 8 sleeper cyanide. It'll interfere with the wakey moxicillin. And he's like, no, inject me. And he does this really goofy, like...
You know, that kind of like reminds me of like Spider-Man. I don't remember.
I was literally just about to say that. It reminds me of a really pussy version of, you know, Spider-Man 1. where the Green Goblin grabs the guy and he's like, we need to go back to formula, and he's like, back to formula, and he grabs him by the shirt and he's like, just inject me with that shit. It reminds me of that, and he even reaches out for the doctor, but the doctor doesn't look at all intimidated, and he's like, just rather than like grabbing his shirt, he's just kind of like, do it now, inject me.
They're giving because it is his experiment. Whatever, if he dies, he dies. Nobody actually cares. The next scene, Mr. Vermin is in Prue's office. The lighting's all orange and mystical. Prue's asleep at her desk. And he's like, you fell asleep at work. Did you fall asleep because of the pain of the past or your uncertainty of the future?
Fucking edgy motherfucker.
And then she goes to move and he goes, yeah, you can't move because I don't want you to move. She's like, get away from me. And he's like, oh, don't worry, there's plenty more young single women out there.
Just not for you.
And
she's the selling motherfucker.
And she's like, no, take me. And he goes, no, it's too late. And she's like, I'm awake. And he's like, you're not awake. It's too late for you. And then she stabs him with a letter opener.
Yeah.
And he screams in pain.
He's like,
and
he he's like, ow! And then he like backs off.
He doesn't know.
Does she stab him in the hand?
Yeah, he stabs him in the hand. And then he says, good night, Prue. And then just before he pushes her off the building in a chair, the phone rings and wakes her up. And it's Andy.
So Andy saves her inadvertently.
And Prue says, oh, can I call you back?
She picks the phone up and Andy says, I've got it written down. Oh, that's it. Annie, are you okay?
Just pick it up saying, Andy, are you okay? And is that what she said?
Andy, are you okay? Are you okay, Andy?
God's sake. She picks up the phone and it's Andy. And she says to Andy, can I call you back? And he says, yeah, I'm at the police station. And Prue thanks Andy for calling him. And Andy says, oh, I just called to hear your voice.
Mm.
And she said goodbye and they put the phone down. And then Rex comes in and scares Prue. Prue puts
she's about to stab him.
The letter opener up, and there's blood on the letter opener and on her hand. And Rex is like, your hand.
Mm.
Then we're at the police station again, and Morris and Andy are talking. And Morris is saying that Mr. Bowman's got no motive, but he has alibis.
Mm.
And Andy's saying that, but he's researching dream leaping, where he leaps into other people's dream.
So again, this is because Andy's the one out of the two cops that is open to like magic and paranormal stuff
and possibilities and out of this world stuff. Yeah. And Morris is the skeptical.
So it makes sense that
he's the one that's figuring this out.
Yeah, that he's kind of gone, okay, well, there's a guy who, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really understand how they made the jump that it was this guy in the first place.
I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, go on then.
So Morris isn't buying it. He's looking really skeptical. And Andy says Julie broke up with him and they ended up in a car accident. That's how he became wheelchair bound.
Mm.
Not long after he returned back to work, Julie was found dead in her apartment, all her bones crushed. 2 days later, 2 more victims was found in their apartments with their bones crushed. Andy also mentions that Julie worked in the lab with him, as well as being his fiancée.
Mm.
That's how Andy came up with it. Andy says to Morris, explain that. And Morris says, I can't, let's go.
Mm.
But so then we see Phoebe walking into the manor and there's loads of flowers. Goes, oh, where did all these flowers come from? And she goes, oh, there was all left on the porch and there's some from men I barely know and some from men I've never met. And the ones in here are for you. And then Phoebe says, well, I know they're not for Huns, that's for sure. We've had a fight. And Pag said, what happened? She goes, oh, I don't know. Huns, he just kept touching me. And then other men in the place kept like looking at me, asking me for drinks. It just got a bit too much. So I came home. How did your date with Jack go? And she says, well, Jack, it didn't feel real. It felt like it's all a part of the spell. And Phoebe says, well, you don't know that. It could be real. Pag says, no, love isn't supposed to be a magical spell. It's supposed to be a connection that nobody can explain. So, and then the cat jumps on Phoebe's lap, and Phoebe's like, even the poor cat is getting harassed. Go away, tomcats, horny tomcats.
And there's all cats on the windowsill.
Trying to get in.
Trying to get to the cat, yeah. What's the cat called? Kit.
But yeah, Kit the cat. So yeah, poor Kit is getting hounded by horny tomcats. And they both say, do you know what? Let's reverse the spell.
They've had enough.
And so just before they go to reverse the spell, Prue calls and she's saying that the man from her dreams in the bath, the dream guy's back. Can you look in the Book of Shadows? He calls himself the Dream Sorcerer. She's coming home because she can't stay in their place too long. She's absolutely knackered, and if she falls asleep, she's not safe.
Yeah.
So Phoebe and Piper are in the attic, and Phoebe says there's nothing in the Book of Shadows, nothing in there at all about the Dream Sorcerer. And Piper's like, well, the book's never let us down before. And Phoebe says, well, have you thought that it might actually maybe be a mortal, not a demon? So the phone starts ringing, and Phoebe says, what are we going to tell Prue, that she can never go to sleep again, that she's never going to be safe? And Piper's like, oh, I don't know, but we need to answer. So they go downstairs and they answer the phone, and they tell Prue that they can't find anything. And Prue says, well, you need to keep talking because I'm going to fall asleep. And Piper says to Phoebe, she sounds exhausted. So Phoebe comes on the phone and she says, right, Prue, blast the air conditioning, crank the stereo up, open all the windows. Wait, don't crank the stereo up. What's that song, that road trip song? Can you remember it? And she's like, yeah. She goes, we're going to sing that. And she's like, okay. And just before they start singing it, because I really want to hear them sing, Hans breaks down the door and
he's angry. He's pissed.
He is fucking fuming. He's like, what have you done to me? Since I met you, I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't drink. I just think about you. And Phoebe's like, Hans, calm down. What are you doing? Ah! And this is what Prue can hear on the phone. And then we move to a scene of Prue driving and she's falling asleep. Mr. Vermin is sat next to her and is like, you falling asleep? She's like, I'm awake. And she managed to wake herself up. And she's like, Piper, Phoebe, where are you? And at this time, Piper and Phoebe are still with Hans. Hans is about to throw a vase. Piper freezes it. They go to pick up the phone, but Prue's already gone. The phone's disconnected. Then we go back to Prue in the car, and Mr. Vermin is sat next to her saying, you're falling asleep, it's nearly time. And she's like, no, I'll stay awake. But she falls to sleep behind the wheel and crashes a car. The next clip we see is of Prue saying, don't fall asleep, can't fall asleep. And then the next clip is her on a gurney.
Yeah.
On a hospital gurney, being rushed into hospital. Don't fall asleep, can't fall asleep. The doctors are calling out for CT scans and all sorts, saying, Miss Hallowell, it's fine, you'll be fine. And Prue goes unconscious.
They say something as they're wheeling her in. They go, car versus utility pole, which I thought was quite funny. Like, is that how
Is that how the paramedics described it to the doctor?
Yeah, they were like, car versus, like, I'm just thinking, like, is that the way doctors describe stuff to each other?
So she goes unconscious.
Which is bad, because now she's in deep sleep.
Now she's in a deep sleep, and Mr. Vermin is back, and he's telling Prue that she's unconscious. She fell asleep. She fell asleep behind the wheel, and she's crashed, and now she can't wake up. She's unconscious. So tough shit. Now you're mine. It's like you hit a pole, you fell asleep, and he says, "You really hurt me, not just my feelings." And I guess he's talking about his hand. But nobody gives a shit. And she tries to use a cell phone in a dream, and he grabs it off her and says, that's definitely out of range, and throws it. And then it goes, wine with death. Yes, please. I'll take some of that. We then go to Andy and Morris, who's at the Dreamland, and they're trying to wake up Mr. Bowman. Then we go back to Dreamland, and Prue is now in this gorgeous black dress. And he says, do you like the dress? And Prue says, I've worn better.
Fucking savage.
And then we go to the hospital where Piper and Phoebe run in, and they go to reception and they're saying, oh, she's still in trauma 1, go and sit in the waiting room. Obviously they ignore that and they run straight to trauma 1. We could then go back to Andy and Morris. They're banging on the window. Mr. Vermin, wake up, Mr. Vermin, wake up.
The scientist is like, we can't just wake him up. That's why the scientist sounds like Shadow the Hedgehog as well.
So they're all incels.
They're all hedgehogs. We've got to mention that bit. We've got to mention they're all hedgehogs.
They're all copies. But in Dreamland, Prue hears Andy and says, Andy. And then Piper and Phoebe find Prue and they're sat with her and they tell Prue that they're there and Prue hears them. And they tell her to fight and use her powers. That she's not powerless and to use her powers against him. And Mr. Vermin in the dream is saying, you're powerless against me. You can't use your powers. But Piper and Phoebe are getting louder in the dreamland. And they say, you can do it. Use your powers, Prue. Use your powers. You can do this. We need you. Use your powers. And then Mr. Vermin says, shall I say goodnight? And Prue says, no, let me. Good night. And then she throws him off the balcony with the powers.
Whee!
He's wee! Wee!
Why didn't get... Because you thought...
I should miss that. Oh,
he's like, oh, who's bad? And what I didn't get about that bit, right? So he obviously has enough power in these dreams that when Prue was in the car about to hit the pole, because he did say if you die in the dream, you die in your life, okay? So he had enough power to, I guess, take himself out of that car so that when it did crash...
She wasn't fully asleep, so when it crashed, she must have been jolted awake.
Yeah, but
But when she's awake, no, when she's fallen asleep, he's in the car. When she's awake, he's not there.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if she stayed asleep and crashed and died in a sleep, he presumably would have died as well because he's in the same car. Now, if he has...
Oh, no.
You didn't let me finish. If he has enough power to disappear out the car and not die, when she threw him off the building, why did he not do it then?
I think it's because, like in Sky's dream, he jumped into Sky's dream. And I think when he kills them, when he pushes them under, they die and he's still in that dream. It doesn't matter. So he's not affected by them dying because he's leaped for the dream so he can meet back out.
Yeah.
With Prue, he's supposed to be in control. So he can do whatever he wants to. But because she's took that control back, he's now powerless. So he can't control. He can't control what happened because he was the one that got thrown over.
Right.
So I think that's why he couldn't get out, because he also had 30 cc's. They tripled his dose or whatever.
So he can't just wake up.
So he can't just wake up anymore.
What a fucking idiot. That's why you don't take the super sleepy snoozy virus.
Well, this is why you just don't dream leap. For God's sake, leave everybody dreams alone.
I don't get what he gains.
You don't like my dreams. I have loads of nightmares.
I fucking love nightmares, but I don't get why, like, what did he gain from any of this?
Incel satisfaction.
Oh, teach the world not to say no to me.
Fuck rejection. So we then go to the dream lab and Andy and Morris watch him die.
Yeah.
And Morris says, I'll never doubt you again.
So the next episode, you'll immediately doubt him. I guarantee it.
So yeah, it's quite funny. Prue wakes up as well. Piper and Phoebe ask Prue if she's okay. She says she's okay. And they're like, what about... Because they don't know his name. They're just like, what about... And Prue says he's gone.
He did.
The next scene, Piper and Phoebe are falling over the trolley of flowers that they brought for Prue, and they come in. Prue's like, oh, you ready to take me home? And Piper says, no, the doctor said one more day. And Phoebe says, God, would it kill you to get some rest, Prue? And she's like, oops, sorry. And then Prue says thanks for the flowers, and they both laugh, and they're like, yeah, don't worry about it. And she's like, oh, is it the spell? And she's like, yeah, it's more hassle than what it's worth. Don't worry, we reverse the spell. I've called Jack, and he doesn't remember anything. Phoebe's called Hans, and he doesn't remember anything either. The men have no memory.
Yeah, so on their end, no harm done, I suppose.
And then Andy visits, and he whips out a red rose. So he's obviously nicked it from the trolley. Prue says, oh, this is a surprise. And Phoebe was like, don't look at me. And Piper says, I called him. She goes, we'll come back later. And Phoebe goes, after we've raided your closet. And then Andy sits down and he's like, oh, I've got your favourite. She's like, oh, cheeseburger and fries. And he says, it's good to see not every bone in your body is broken. And she's like, what? And he's like, the crash. But obviously, he doesn't know she was a victim of Mr. Vermin.
Yeah.
And Prue doesn't know that he was investigating Mr. Vermin.
Yeah, because obviously confidentiality, they're not allowed to.
Oh no, he would 100% tell her, but they didn't have time. Andy and Morris was constantly on it. He tried to phone Prue to hear her voice and speak to her, but she was knackered, so I don't think she probably called him back.
Yeah.
Piper and Phoebe go outside. Piper gets a rose from another rose, so Andy's obviously nicked a rose. Pass it to Phoebe and they both smile and they both go like get this cheesy little smile because they're happy for the sister. And then they walk off and that's the end of this week's episode, The Dream Sorcerer. So, Mr. Mark, what did you think of that episode?
I liked it, but like I say, right at the start, I did get incel vibes from the wheelchair guy and then I felt bad about thinking that way because he was in the wheelchair. And then as soon as...
That's positive discrimination.
But as soon as he ended up in that woman's dream and he's talking about, I go after women who reject me. And I was like, okay, all right. He's going to put a manifesto on the internet at some point.
My partner is dead.
Well, yeah. I mean, this would have been 90s, early 2000s. Give it another like 6 or 7 years, bro would have been making fucking YouTube videos and, you know, talking about how much he'd be calling women femoids and shit and fucking watching Andrew Tate videos.
So apart from the incelliness of this,
there are some humorous moments.
It reminds me a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, I think the Aaron Spelling.
Yeah.
I know he's a producer, so he may not be the one that wrote this actually, but the writers for this show clearly took lots of inspiration from Freddy Krueger. I just like that they went down the route of, well, I don't know if I like it, but they went down a different route of a guy who, you know, rather than being like tortured and stuff or burned to death like Freddy, I think they would have, if they'd have gone down that kind of route, it'd be just you'd be entering sort of rip-off territory. There was enough that made this different that you can watch it and enjoy it.
They lost some of the comical bits of what Freddy's character's like.
Yeah.
Not as sarcastic as
some of it leans
really, but
some of it really leans into Nightmare on Elm Street, like the claw thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of, I don't think that's rip-off territory, but maybe you could call it like a tribute or an homage to Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that might be, I feel like I say this every episode.
You do.
I think this might be my favorite episode so far.
Before I put it on, I actually said to you, I think you're going to like this episode.
Yeah, I think it's just because we learn more about, because they talk about relationships and stuff in previous episodes and how hard it is being a witch, trying to find love and stuff. And I think I've said this in previous podcasts. Why don't they just use their magic to help them out?
And they have.
It's
magic and it backfired.
And it's gone wrong. So I guess this kind of answers that question now. Why don't they do that? Or even, like I say, I know you can't help yourself out because you can't do things to only benefit yourself, but they could do it for each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I guess this kind of answers why that's not such a great idea. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I like that we saw the cat again.
You love cats.
I do.
That's why we got 3.
Morris as well. I feel like, was he not in the last episode?
He hasn't been in the last couple of episodes. I think the last time we saw Morris was episode 2.
Yeah, and I was going to say, because we obviously they show him and his actor in the intro, and I was going to say during the intro, oh, they keep showing him, but he hasn't been in. He's been in like 3 episodes so far, and we're on the 5th.
Well, he only gets into it when the police are involved. There's no point being in it if he's not involved.
Andy's been in like 4 of them.
But he's into it because he's a love interest.
Yeah, I get, yeah. But again, they showed the cat as well. And I was like, oh, the cat hasn't been in many episodes either. And both of them were in this episode.
They make a massive comeback.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm glad that you enjoyed the episode.
Did you like it?
I love that episode. I think it's good. Dead Man Dating is still my favourite so far because of the little budding thing between Mark and Piper.
Yeah.
You have a guess of what you think could potentially happen because what do you think could potentially happen?
What?
Well, every episode you seem to have a guess of what could happen on next episodes or in the future episodes.
Oh, okay.
I forgot what your last one was. What was it?
Well, I did say, I don't know if I've already said it, I thought that in this episode, something was going to backfire.
Oh, yeah. But you thought it was that they swap the guys around, that the whole thing would backfire.
I thought that when Piper and, I'm going to say this again because I don't know if I've already said it or if I said it before we started recording, but I thought that Piper and Phoebe, when they were doing the spell and they were reading through what their ideal man would be, I thought the thing that was going to go wrong with the spell was the kind of men that Phoebe is into, the sort of mysterious motorbike riding, like those kind of guys, were the ones that were going to go for Piper, and the guys that Piper are into, which is like your sensitive, romantic, sort of thoughtful guys, were going to be the ones that go after Phoebe.
That would have been a cool episode.
It would have been like, and you said it was like a Freaky Friday type situation.
Freaky Friday dating.
Yeah. And I don't know what idea I like more, because that could have been an episode. Phoebe and Piper, their kind of love spell is like the B plot to the main plot, which is the dream sorcerer. So then if my idea was to be used and they were to kind of like get their wires crossed and end up with the other man, I think that would still be a B plot in a different episode. And the problem is, because they've done this episode, I can't see them going back and doing a love spell again. So it's kind of, you got to choose one or the other. And I don't know which scenario I like more. The one I had in my head.
I like that one.
Or this one.
I like the one they did.
Yeah.
Like your idea is good, but I think this one fitted in best with the outcome.
Yeah. I mean, they basically went with, the men are overbearing. They won't leave them alone. There's too many of them.
They're not saying the men, they're saying the spell.
Yeah, but it made the men overbearing and there were too many men interested in them. And that's ultimately why they go, no, that let's end the spell now.
But the thing is, if they got the opposite, they'd have ended the spell a lot quicker.
I don't know. Maybe they could have gone like, you know what? Anything's better than nothing.
No, Piper won't just jump in the sack like Phoebe does.
Or the spell couldn't be undone. They have to do something special to break the spell. And that's what the episode is about. Them trying to find out how to undo this spell while they've got these men that they're not interested in. Chasing them.
I like the way that they did it.
Yeah. I don't get me wrong. I like the episode, but maybe we can ask AI to script that episode. I'll have a look. I'll see if I can get AI to rewrite the episode using my little alteration, and then we'll have a look at it. Maybe we can have a bonus episode.
Yeah.
Where we'll
read from
the script.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be fun.
Okay.
That could be fun.
Okay.
I'll have a look tomorrow. I'll have a butcher's.
Yeah, that's have a look tomorrow. It's our anniversary tomorrow.
Well, day after then. And I will see if I can produce or reproduce an episode based on this, where rather than them just sort of going, oh no, the men are too overbearing, it's almost like a Freaky Friday scenario. We'll see what that looks like. That could be fun.
Okay.
And we'll upload it as a bonus episode.
Okay. We hope you guys enjoyed listening. Next week's episode is episode 6, The Wedding from Hell. If you enjoyed listening to Karma's a Witch, try our True People podcast.
True crime.
It's not true crime. It's like anything podcast. So that on there we talk about true crime, urban legends, Mandela effects, conspiracies.
Don't spoil that. That's coming up.
It'll be out on the same day.
That's true.
And we are taking requests as well. So if you want to request something for us to research, please email karma with a C, podcast@hotmail.com. If you like Squid Games, we do have Karma's a Killer Game. We have now got the games, which we are going to play soon. Mr. Mark keeps putting it off.
Yeah, we're going to be, again, that could be a bonus episode.
Yeah.
We'll be playing some of the Squid Game games. Like, Karma will literally jump on a glass bridge.
Of course would. Yeah. You can listen to us on Spotify,
Apple Podcasts,
Amazon Music,
YouTube,
on Bad Karma Network.
Follow us on TikTok.
And Facebook, Bad Karma Network, on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. Thanks for listening, guys. Take care.
Bye. Now be there, be there, be there, be there. I've got my Michael Jackson song stuck in my head. When the guy appears in the dream, he's like, "You are not alone." Do you know how he gets in the rooms? Because they all die in the bedroom, don't they?
Yeah.
He came into the window. There was a sound of aggression.
Windows have bars on.
Oh. He is the man in the mirror. Asking for you to break all your bones. And then when Prue's in the bath, he's the person that makes her feel like she always feels like somebody's watching her. I don't even know if that's Michael Jackson.
No, I don't think it is.